So today I am doing the long-awaited, my ranking of the animated films of 2016. Some of these I'll talk a lot about, some of them I won't. Some of them big releases, some of them were indies, some of them were kind of obscure foreign films that you probably never heard of. But I tried to literally watch everything except for Sausage Party. That's the only one not on here because I just didn't feel comfortable with it. And so here we go. Here's my ranking of the anime films of 2016. Okay. Number 34, I have Norm of the North. And we've already said so much about this film. It's just incompetently made in every single way. The animation's terrible. The characters are terrible. The story is terrible. Everything about it is just cringeworthy and awful and just horrible. 33 is Batman: The Killing Joke. This movie really offended me. I thought it had female victimization written all over it. The character of Barbara Gordon isn't an autonomous character. She doesn't have her own ideas, her own things. She's just a tool for the story to kind of move around and do what they want with her, and even to the extent of raping her. And I just found the actual Killing Joke story to be completely underserved and underwhelming and boring, and the animation is lame, and it just felt like everyone was just phoning in on this one. The gay character is horrible. It was just appalling. I hated it. Next up, I have Bling, and this was a movie that did get released theatrically, and it had a run on Google Play, is where you could get it. This movie is really predictable, really average, and normally that would be fine, like it's just a babysitter for kids. The animation actually isn't that bad, but I found that it had a really weird sort of commercialistic message to it, where everything is just focused on buying this ring and proposing with a ring and getting the biggest ring that you could, and even in the end, like, he still sort of gives her this big ring, and I thought that was weird. And there's the most obvious Minion copies I have ever seen. They literally are Minions but are white. Number 31, I have Space Dogs 2. This movie actually has some, like, it's just so weird that, you know, these dogs and other animals that are going to the moon, and it's this Russian film, and it was horribly dubbed, one of the worst dubbings I've ever seen. But I didn't hate watching this, actually, but it's not a good movie. I have Ice Age 5 Collision Course. This movie just, it was a bunch of characters complaining the whole time. It had nothing, no creativity. The animation's fairly good, but it just didn't, I didn't like what they did with the characters, and it had this weird message about people and growing old and sort of a weird message about beauty and youth, and I don't know. So it just was completely boring and didn't make me laugh. 29, I have Blinky Bill, the movie. This is pretty bad as far as the animation. It's not very good, and it's pretty generic. It's really not a whole lot going for it, but I felt like kind of harmless. If you want just something for small children to entertain them, go on an adventure. It's kind of similar to like a Dora the Explorer kind of episode. Number 28, I have The Wildlife, and this is probably higher than some other people might have it. I've seen some people put it below Norm of the North. I really disagree with that. I think that there's some good animation here. I think there's some decent storytelling here. I like the fact that they didn't use celebrity voice actors like Ice Age Collision Course did. I was somewhat entertained by it. I didn't think it was that bad as other people did, but I did think that the cats were just horrible. I hated the cats. I hated the weird pregnancy thing that happens is just strange, and the way she like uses it to manipulate and control was very weird, and just everything about the cats I hated. Number 27, I have The Little Prince. You might be surprised to have this low. It's very high up on many people's list. I didn't really like this film that much. I thought it was preachy. I thought it was boring. And I really didn't think, I'm weird, I didn't think it got interesting until it sort of went all weird and dystopian at the end. But otherwise, I just thought it was kind of dull. 26 for me is Ratchet & Clank. I thought this was a harmless, fun space movie for kids. I thought it had some self-aware dialogue. I thought it reminded me of something I would watch on Saturday morning cartoons. 25 is the Angry Birds movie. This also had pretty good animation, and I think it has some funny jokes, some clever things. I think the ending where they do the way they handle the catapult and everything, I think that's actually pretty clever, and some of the music is pretty good. So I don't think it's awful. I think it's passable entertainment, but I think it has sort of a weird message, and that's what dragged it down a lot for me. This whole idea that like that the people that are happy are somehow gullible and stupid, and that Red has to kind of teach them how to be angry. Like, that was weird to me. And 24 for me is The Secret Life of Pets. Secret Life of Pets, I thought was fine. I enjoyed it. I certainly liked it much better than any of the Despicable Me movies, but it does have problems. It's definitely really generic. It tries to wedge in the sentimentality with the former owner and things. I didn't think that worked at all. I think that a little bit of the Kevin Hart bunny goes a long way, and some of those scenes just felt too shrinky and kind of exasperating for me. I didn't really like it. But I thought the animation was nice. I really liked, I think, Gidget and Chloe. Up at number 23, I have a movie called Snow Time. This movie I actually saw last year at Sundance, and I got to interview the creators and everything like that. And I actually think the animation is pretty good. They had a small budget, and I like it. I think it looks cute, and I like the characters, and they definitely go for it with an emotional punch that choice that is definitely brutal and will be hard, but I thought they handled it pretty well, and I thought it was a good there's a couple different ways to do emotion in a kids movie. You can do sort of the Bambi moment, or you can do sort of the more more consistent darker moments, and this definitely was more of like a Bambi moment. Whereas like, say, an American Tail is more sort of consistently sort of dark, or Secret of NIMH or something like that. So, but the 22, I have Trolls. Trolls, I thought overall was entertaining. I thought that it was very uneven though. Like, for every kind of thing I liked, there was something I didn't like. For every song I liked, there was a song I didn't like. For every vocal performance, there was a vocal performance I didn't like. Overall, I think you can go to the movie and you can have enjoyment from it, but I do think that the message where everyone has to like the same things and everyone has to enjoy the same things. Like, why does everyone have to like scrapbooking? Up, another one that's in this average sort of camp, but I think is Storks. And I thought that Storks had a lovely message. That the ending montage was beautiful. I loved the adoption message. I thought the animation was pretty good. I loved Tulip and her hair. And I thought it had some good jokes. I was laughing throughout, and I did have that Toady Pigeon character was pretty annoying. So yeah, it had some problems, but overall, I was entertained by it. Hey, number 20, I have Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders. And this was an homage to the old 1960s Batman. And I thought it was really well done. It does start to drag a little bit in certain parts and get a little self-indulgent at times, but for the most part, I thought it was really funny. It made me laugh. I thought it was nice sort of seeing a more sort of fun take. I hate that word. It was nice seeing a more comedic take on Batman. We haven't seen that for a while, so I enjoyed that because I'm not that biggest Batman fan in general. I liked seeing all these different characters together. It was fun, and the animation was pretty good. I liked seeing all the gadgets, and I look forward to seeing the one they do next. I hope. Number 19, I have Sing. And this I was expecting to not really like very much, and then I went to it, and I walked out of it having a pretty good time and enjoying myself. I like the songs, actually. I didn't really, because there's supposedly 85 songs in this, and a lot of those are just these tiny little snippets. I don't really like those sections that much, but the actual like full sung songs I thought were pretty good and well sung. And I thought that the characters were surprisingly like rich and interesting. I liked the fact that it wasn't just sort of young ingenues, but it had people from lots of different sort of, well, animals, but characters from lots of different classes and different types and stuff. And I thought that was cool. And I particularly like Rosita as a mother. You know, I think that's cool for kids to get to see sort of maybe what their mothers might be going through as a frazzled, frustrated, not listened to woman. And 18, I have Harmony. And this is an anime film. You probably haven't heard of it. This has such an interesting setup. It's this dystopian world where basically like we kind of have we have the ability to give each other points on how like charitable and how nice and how friendly we think other people are. So we're kind of, not only are we sort of communicating with other people like we do with social media, but we're also just kind of judging them on it, which was really interesting to me. And the way that sort of the main government, and I think, kind of controls people through these implants and other things and makes them see through everything else. But I just thought this idea of sort of grading each other was really cool and really interesting. And it's definitely like bloody, and the animation is really beautiful. But the ending, I felt like it kind of fell apart and for me, and it just didn't end in a satisfying way. At number 17, I have Long Way North. I got to interview the director of this movie, which was really cool. I really like it a lot. I think it's beautiful. I like the way that it doesn't have any lines to things, any outlines, and it just uses these color blocks. So I love the animation. I thought it was beautiful. I really like Sophie as a character. I liked the adventure of it all. I do think that it gets sort of boring in the boat scenes. It goes on a little too long, and some of the plot is very predictable, but I still enjoyed it. I think it was really fun. And number 16, I have The Boy and the Beast. This is Mamoru Hosoda, and I got introduced to his films from this. This is a really charming film for the most part. I really liked sort of the Karate Kid vibe that it's got going with this beast and this boy who ends up training him to become a karate, or become a ninja or whatever, I can't remember. But anyway, that was really charming and fun. But then there's lots of places it goes that I didn't think really worked, like his relationship with his birth dad, and then there's this girlfriend, and then at the end, the person that becomes the villain comes out of nowhere, and I didn't think that was really earned. But the animation is gorgeous, so beautiful. And 15, I have Miss Hokusai, and this was a beautiful film based on this historical manga about the daughter, you know, that painting of the wave. Well, this is about the daughter of the guy who painted that, and she wanted to become a great artist like her father, and her father has interesting methods to kind of support her. And it's not a movie with a lot of plot, it's sort of these little vignettes of her life, and so that won't be for everybody. But there are times when they go inside the paintings and you really get this idea of this artist's mind and kind of what they're feeling. I really liked that. The animation is beautiful. The only thing that really stopped it from being one of the greats for me this year was that I felt like I was missing something culturally in certain scenes. I didn't understand, like, there's a lesbian kiss in here, and I didn't really understand what it meant for the story. I didn't understand what it meant for the characters at this time and what was going on. So there's just a lot of things like that I felt like I needed more cultural context. 14, I have The Jungle Book. And some people don't consider this an animated film. I do for this list. I counted it. The Jungle Book was beautiful. I mean, you couldn't believe that this was real. I really liked some of the changes they made to the animated film. I really liked the change in Mowgli. He became a proactive character. I really liked the ending. I hate the ending in the original film. That they, it's not this woman who's just going to be getting water her whole life, and so they change it so he's proactive in figuring out a solution and not just sort of blindly following other people. That was cool. And I thought for the most part it was beautiful and entertaining. The only thing that I didn't really like is I didn't think the songs really fit. They felt sort of out of place for this tone and the style. And also, I didn't like the way they handled Louis. You already have a mean villain in Shere Khan. The whole point of having Louis and the way he was added is that he's slick and he's cool and he's a salesman kind of a character. He's a jazz man kind of character. And so to make him also kind of mean and a brute, I just didn't think worked. I didn't think you needed it. It just became redundant from the character you already had before. So number 13, I have Phantom Boy. This is by the same team that did A Cat in Paris. This is not as good as A Cat in Paris, but it's still a really sweet little superhero story. And we don't get that many standalone superhero movies. And this, it was just a nice story about a little boy who is sick, and he develops the ability to step out of his body and to go and help this detective to solve crimes. And there's this guy named No Face, who's this sort of kind of Dick Tracy like kind of mobster, and they sort of go on this chase with him. And I thought visually it was really great. They had sort of a cubist element to it. I liked the design of the Phantom Boy. I thought that was really cool. And it was just refreshing in this world of superhero movies just to see something small, standalone, and intimate. Number 12, I have My Life as a Zucchini. And I know this will probably be a lot higher up on other people's lists. I gave it a B+ in my blog review. I enjoyed it. It's just so different. It's so weird. I kind of don't know what to make of it. I guess most of the time there's adult animation and then there's animation for kids and then there's family films and everything like that. But I feel like most of the time the adult animation isn't trying to sort of look and feel like a child's film, whereas this really is. It looks like Snow Time, honestly. It looks like the animation in Snow Time, but this is stop motion. And the animation's amazing. Love the animation. And the voices and just everything like that. But then it has this just like brutal stuff that you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. And so, I don't know, I'm still sort of working it over in my head. 11, I have Finding Dory, and I can't believe that the Pixar movie didn't make it into the top 10, but this is where I felt like it deserved. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it had huge heart. I loved seeing Dory's journey and as she met all these different people, and I liked the fishes, whatever. I liked the fact that they didn't have her meet one person and then that one person follow her through the story, kind of like you got with Finding Nemo. She would meet one person and then another person and another person, and I thought that made it kind of, or character, I should say, not person, but I thought that made it kind of unpredictable in its own way, and it had these sort of weird subversive elements of this marine life habitat that was so polluted, and there were a lot of things that the more I thought about it, the more I saw it, that I was like, what's going on here? That were just sort of weird, and I thought it was really funny. Like, I laughed. It's probably one of the Pixar movies I laughed the most at, but it's not like, I don't know, I just couldn't put it any higher. I just think the other movies on this list are more bold, are more creative, are more original, and so that's where it ended up. Sorry. But I did really enjoy it. And I have Ethel and Ernest. Simon Briggs remembering his parents, and it's just about their whole life. And I loved the animation. It was so sweet. This, more really sketchy style. And I loved seeing their whole life like play out. I thought it was really wonderful and heartwarming and it made me happy watching it. I really, really liked it. And 9, I have April and the Extraordinary World. This was such an amazing movie. I loved it. I mean, just this sort of new take on steampunk, and that what would happen if it really existed. And it was so, like, I just loved the animation so much. I thought Darwin was great as this cat that was very funny. I liked April in this Extraordinary World. It was very creative and constantly surprising me. And the villain, the thing they do will definitely be divisive, and you'll either kind of go with it or not go with it, but I thought it fit for this sort of steampunky sci-fi thing. Number 8, I have Kung Fu Panda 3. I think this is definitely the most underrated on the list. I think this movie is beautiful. I think it's the best of the series because I think it combines the humor of the first movie and the action of the second movie into this nice marriage. I think it has beautiful 2D animation qualities to it in the backgrounds and some other things. I liked seeing Poe's journey of becoming a teacher, because that's different than you're not necessarily a good teacher just because you're a master at something. And so I thought that was really neat to see him kind of go on that journey. And I loved the adoption message. I loved the way that the adopted father and his birth father have to kind of come to this understanding and acceptance of who he was. And I thought that was great. So number 7, I have Only Yesterday. This movie is some could argue it's not actually 2016 release, but in America it is. It was originally made in 1991, finally released in 2016. When I first watched this movie, I was more sort of average on it, but I have to say every time I've watched it, I've loved it more and more and more, and I've been a little more forgiving of its flaws. I think the grown-up portions of the story, because it's about this woman who is remembering her 5th grade years, and the grown-up parts aren't as strong, and they're definitely a little preachy, but I love the kid part so much. It's so lovely. It's just all these little vignettes about her life, and the animation by Takahata is just gorgeous. And it's just simple things like them buying a pineapple and trying it for the first time. And I don't know, I love stuff like that. So I just, it's one that every time I watch it, it really grows on me. Number 6 is Kubo and the Two Strings. This movie was so heartfelt, so stunning. The animation, I mean, it's just astonishing. Stop motion, the things they did, like with the skeleton and the paper and the way that things moved, and I really liked the fact that it wasn't like a traditional sort of hero story where I knew exactly kind of where they were going, what mountain they were trying to climb, what they were trying to hunt for, whatever. I mean, you do know it's the armor, but you don't really know what it does, and I just kind of liked that. I went with it, and the biggest thing that sold me on this movie is just Kubo as a character, because I just thought he was warm and lovely, and every time he would smile, he would make me smile. Number 5, I have The Tower. This movie, I reviewed on my blog. I'm not sure if I reviewed it here, but this was a tremendous movie. It is a animated documentary, which I had never seen. Well, I saw it in Waltz with Bashir, so that's as close as we've gotten to it. But it's so interesting the way it takes this shooting that happened with the sniper in 1966 in the University of Texas, and it takes you through all of the minutes of that incident, and it uses animation to kind of immerse you into that moment. And I think it works so well. And you have actors, and then you also have the actual victims. And what was amazing is that a lot of these victims hadn't ever had closure on it, which blew my mind. So many years later that finally making this movie was actually therapeutic for them. And I don't know, they had so many different perspectives. There's a character that's just like a John McClane type that is ready to sort of, he asked the sheriff to deputize him right there so they can go and get the sniper, and that he was awesome. And then there was another character who was very scared, and she admitted that she was a coward and she didn't want to go outside and didn't want to expose herself. And there was another woman who crawled on her belly all the way to this pregnant woman who'd been shot just to hold her hand and be with her. And so I don't know, I just thought it was inspiring and relevant, so relevant, but not preachy, and something different, something new that I had never really seen something quite like it before. So Tower. Number 4, I have Zootopia, and Zootopia is just a delight. I just reviewed it for Disney Canon, so you can check that out. But it's funny. I love Judy Hopps as a character. I love the heart of the message. I think some people are overthinking it a little bit, but the idea of not letting fear kind of control you, and fear that's different, of things that are different, control you. And so that's really, really great. And just the detail and the world building was amazing. And so it was great. Number 3 for me is The Red Turtle. The Red Turtle is just a stunning work of art. It has no dialogue, and it's just mostly through the music, which is just gorgeous, this operatic music that takes you through this journey of this man who ends up on this island. He wants to get off, but nature and this red turtle have a different plan for him. And it was just completely absorbing and beautiful, and yeah, so you got to see it. Number 2, I have Moana. And I loved it. It's just classic Clements and Musker musical. I really loved all of the songs. I think there could have maybe been 1 or 2 more, but it is a formula picture, but I think that it executes it very well. I really liked Moana as a character. I liked her story arc. I liked the fact that she didn't rebel out of her own interest, but it was the rebellion in the interest of her people when she saw that they were voyagers, and she saw what they could be, and she wanted to save them, but also redeem them in a way and bring them back to who they were. And I really liked the humor. I thought it worked. I liked that it was sort of an Odyssey-like story. I loved Maui as a character. I thought he was great. And so I loved the ocean, the water, the animation was just beautiful. And like I said, I thought the music was great. It just was magic, Disney magic for me. My number 1 animated film of 2016 is my number 1 movie of 2016, and it's Your Name. This was a stunning anime film that starts off, it's so clever because it starts off as just this romp of this body changing, and then it takes this turn, this sci-fi kind of turn, and it becomes richer and deeper, but you've already grown to like these characters, so you're already invested, and that's what makes the script so brilliant. And it was just so surprising, and it was so different, and the animation is gorgeous the way they use light and comments, and I just didn't know where it was going, and I thought that the characters were just so wonderful, and it made me cry, it made me laugh, it just gave all emotions. It just has everything that I could ever want in a movie. I think it's just hugely rewatchable. I could just watch it again and again and again. And if you don't think that you like anime, give this a shot. I think you might like it. It's just such an original, beautiful, touching, funny, heartbreaking at times story. It's exciting, it's well paced, I was never bored at all. It's just a great movie, and I think that everybody should give it a shot. So that's my ranking of all of the animated films of 2016. What do you think? What have I lost my mind on some of these? Where would you rank them? What have you seen? What have you not seen? What do you want to see? All of those different things, questions, put in the comments section, and make sure you're following me on my blog and other social media, and it'll be fun. This week we'll see what gets nominated. What would be your picks for what gets nominated? I think if it were just me, I would have it be Your Name, The Red Turtle, Moana, Zootopia, and Kubo and the Two Strings would be my 5 picks. So let me know what your picks would be, and thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!